Yeah. So, yeah, we start by a bit of all these kind of exercises that we do. And for some of you, you have done them before, then it will be a repetition. For some of you, it is the first time to do them. So it is like, so we just start warming up. This is actually already part of one of the techniques that we showed a bit of last time, which is the havening technique. So this just to do this movement as if you have something small in your hand, like a piece of clay or a piece of dough, or doing something, just slightly touching the hands to each other. It's a very calming kind of movement. And that is what people do, what we all do just naturally. It is like, doing things with your hands, or holding hand with somebody, with your mother or father or partner or a friend or somebody, when there is possibility of holding hands, which is less now during this time, but then we can like hold our own hands. That's a very good one. So it is like sitting like this during a conversation with somebody, or if somebody is distressed, even over the phone, you can explain this to just, put your palms together and do a circular movement. And then the person is telling something that is stressful. This will help. Just this small movement. So that is our specialty. It is like looking for simple things that have great effect. Okay, good.
And this is called self-havening. So this is a technique that actually is a treatment model in the same way as the trauma tapping technique. And this is built on the model of Dr. Ronald Wooden, who was studying tapping for many, many years. And also on the study from Harper, which you have been given a link to, and you will be given another one if you didn't find it. So many nerve endings in the hands, and doing this actually enhances one of the brain waves called the delta wave that calms us down.
Yeah. So from there, we will go to a greeting, isn't it, Ulf?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. So then you can just, so then you can just stop. And then we do the greeting that comes for us from the eastern part of Congo, where we learned it. And it is just like this. And you clap like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then on your chest. And then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and to the front. And then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Raise your arms to the ceiling, and then even looking up and smiling a little bit, a faint smile or a big smile. Okay, we do it again. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, to your own chest. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, to the front. And 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, to the ceiling. Okay? And this, we often ask, about some comments about this greeting. It is something that you can do at any time for yourself. And they are just stopping like this. If you continue holding your hands towards the ceiling, this is what we call then a power pose. Because, especially when you look up and put a smile on your face, this gives signals through your nervous system, through your brain. Oh, wow, she's actually happy. She's not as sad as I thought she was, because this is like the opposite of closing the body. That is the reaction when we are feeling sad, anxious. So we can help ourselves to open up just by stretching up the arms towards the sky, towards heaven, towards the ceiling, wherever we are, just looking up, because this is a way to counter the natural reaction. So everything we do with our body will affect the mind.
Yes.
Yes.
Bafungura batinze ahubwo hari amafaranga yarandura nayifite ngiye kumwandika.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
So that is one of the exercises we always do, and you can do it in a group, you can do it by yourself. I mean, you can do it like this over, when you have these online meetings. I did it yesterday with people who had been sitting and discussing the whole day, just stretching out the arms, or, all these things will affect the body in a positive way, because it becomes circulation. but also it is like a smile, you know, that even if you put a pen in your mouth, like that, just making the movement of the mouth send signals to the brain that changes the chemical setup and changes from more worries to less worries, more joy, just by doing that. You know, so it goes both ways. We smile when we're happy, but we can also smile to become more happy. Just like we can stretch up. I mean, we do this all over the world. People do this when they feel great. They have succeeded in something, scored a goal, or, you know, yes, I succeeded in my test, or did this, or I managed to take my driver's license, or something like that. But you can also do it to feel, to get more of that feeling into your system. Yeah. So
that's cool. So this is the second day out of 2, and we are assuming that most of you are here for the second time, although we also invite people who come for the first time. So how many here are here for the first time? Could you raise your hand if it's the first time you're joining us at all?
Annie.
Everybody's joining for a second time. That's wonderful. So maybe we
except for Annie. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe we should just collect some experiences from having been using this now since last time. What do you say, Gunilla? A short,
yeah, please.
A short check-in. Just say your name, where in the world you are, and how you've been using it, and your thoughts about it.
Orally, you can speak out. You just raise your hand and you can say something. Yes, please. I am Walton. Yes.
Okay, so well, we've been experimenting or looking at a course to help people with mental health problems take their first step to recovery, and we included it in the course to see how it went. It seems to have gone down very well.
Okay.
So
and these are groups that you have there, and you're in Britain.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I thought I heard that, but and so what kind of groups is it you're working with, or individuals?
We work with a centre. It's called the Recovery Republic, and it's in a rundown town, really. And it was a GP who just decided that his patients recovering from addiction and mental health problems needed something else. So he just opened. Well, he bought a pub that had gone out of business and set it up, and we're building on that, really. So we've become interested because we teach. I mean, the other thing that's happened is I set up a webinar to teach general practitioners in England about trauma with COVID.
Yeah.
And we had one of your previous graduates, who's a GP who'd worked in Greece, who came and did a presentation for GPs, and that seems to have gone down well as well. So
okay. So who was it? Who was it from Greece?
Faizan Ahmed.
Okay. That's
okay.
Great. Oh, that's lovely. I didn't know that. Oh, that's good. Oh, well done. So we will tell already now that we actually have, because we have a special training for addiction recovery that we will have, that we have been doing only in Sweden, but now we're going to do an online one also internationally, which will be on 25th of August. If you know, we will give you the link if that is.
That'd be brilliant. Yeah. Thank you.
And that is specifically exactly what you're doing. But
it's in the chat now. So we call it the stress and trauma model because it's a stress and trauma approach to addiction recovery, treating addiction, and also treat the people who are stuck in destructive or criminal lifestyle choices, because usually those two things go hand in hand.
Yeah, so that's exactly connecting to what you were telling. Oh, that's interesting, Ian. Thank you so much for sharing. Great.
Okay.
Yeah, good. Thank you. So let's hear somebody else.
Hi, good morning. My name is Veronica Boutel. I'm from California, near the Bay Area. I apologize, I'm not on video. I'm actually not feeling so great today.
No problem. You're welcome.
So I work with trauma survivors. I specialize in dialectical behavior therapy at a rape crisis center, and I work with human trafficking survivors as well.
Oh, wow. And how have you used this tapping since last time, or it since before?
I actually, my first one, but I had another clinician that had done tapping, and so I wanted to kind of jump in on this.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So that will be lovely to hear your experiences when you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, and Adara raised her hand. So. Yeah, you have to unmute yourself. We don't hear anything about it.
I forgot I had to do that. Yes, unmute myself. Okay.
Yeah.
I've been using it with individual clients and in my practice, but some of my clients are actual coaches, you know, with other big groups. So I really am trying to get it spread. And I think you all are about to recently certify one of the other persons.
Yeah, sure.
So, but I also have another woman I've just trained. And so I'm very interested in the addiction because she leads a spiritual group of women for AA. So she's going to be learning this so that she can spread it. So what I'm doing is I'm getting very pivotal people, you know, that are like me with certain practices so that they can spread it within their group. So I'm just not doing one-on-one. I've done the one-on-one and also for my community, but I've selectively targeted some of the students and other people that I teach so that the wider community can benefit from this and they can take it in. So that's how I've been using it.
Wonderful.
And I also use it for myself with what's going on to keep myself balanced.
Yeah, good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, and Osoki, please.
Yes, hello everyone.
Hello, Osoki.
Yeah, I have also used this in the recent past. I had a very interesting case of a young girl who wanted to commit suicide because she had accidentally gotten pregnant. She wanted to either abort or kill herself. So we had to reorganize as a team and help her out. And it's been wonderful. She is now no longer stressed. She has agreed to carry the baby full term. She's due in a few weeks' time. And we are all happy. I keep checking on her as we tap together. I have even made a video for her. And it's a great experience. I like it.
Okay, good. Thank you so much, Osoki. From Kenya. Good. Thank you.
Yeah,
Keep up your good work. Yeah. Thank you.
Soki, question. How many sessions did you do? One session or was it several sessions?
Sorry?
Did you do one session with her or several sessions?
We have organized it in such a way that we do 2 sessions per day.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, one session is she keeps mentioning that problem, and then the second session we mention the positive side. Even though I am pregnant, even though it gives me stress, I am strong. I am going to carry this full term. I love and accept myself. That is how we do it.
Good.
Excellent. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well,
okay. Did you have somebody else?
Would be great to have more experiences. Please do share them. Yes,
Yeah.
Maria? You need to unmute yourself. There you go.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Maria.
Thank you so much for doing this, Gunilla and Ulf. I really love this. And my friend passed away on Friday. It went so quickly. She has had cancer for a long time, but it wasn't due to be now. And it was so painful, you know, when the sorrow comes. And because we have done this before in your class, and I have done that before, I understood that it's sitting in my body. So I did something I never done before. I took off my yoga mat and I really focused on different poses. And I said affirmations to every pose. I am safe. My feelings are okay to feel, and so on. And I was crying so hard for every pose. And then I soothed myself with this technique in the end. It was so beautiful. I really felt feelings going through me, and it wasn't stuck because I'm so used to having my feelings stuck inside. But I really felt the movement all the way through. It was so beautiful. So I'm very grateful.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And yeah, and I'm sorry about your friend. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's wonderful. I mean, there are so many ways of using these techniques. I mean, as we say, we use everything that is easy for anybody to use, and in different kind of settings, as you already heard from those who have told their experiences. Okay, good. Do we have somebody else who'd like to share something? One more person, somebody who is not too shy. Yeah, Placide, please go ahead. Please unmute yourself. Did you want to say something, Placide?
Hello?
Yes, now we hear you.
Yeah, I use tapping every day for keeping myself from free stress. And also I teach in schools and prisons. I mean, this time we are not doing that because the school, they are no longer there, but I met friends and I had somebody that has a problem with the emotional. I just jump and go ask, do you need this? I have this that has done this for me. So like, I teach through my experience, like I was like this, now I'm like this, and this is what has helped me. Maybe you can try. So that's one of the way. Also, I approach people, we start conversing because I talk a lot about the spirituality things. Then I add this, then it becomes more fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Placide.
Yeah, so I train people to be more disciples.
Yeah, true. Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, we have to spread these techniques. I mean, this world is full of stress. I mean, too much. So that's good. That's why we always encourage everybody to, teach to others and show. Don't keep it to yourself, but always tell to others. I mean, it can change your life. I sometimes say that, I mean, this is a very simple technique. It takes 5 minutes. It's kind of funny. It's kind of, that's the one, often what we say, it is one of the most difficult things with tapping. It is that it looks funny. It looks too easy. It looks even stupid for some people. How can something like that help to things that I have been carrying for so long time? How can it help to something that even doctors say that, no, there is no remedy for this? And then we have seen through all these years, of course, and like Placide is one of our colleagues, and Osoki too, since long time we've been working together with Placide for several years, and then together we have seen all this change. So with that 5-minute technique, for me it has changed my life from doing one thing to another, and to meet so many people, and so we always, I mean, it's just encouraging, just keep going with it, because you never know where it will bring you,
Yeah.
So good.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing, everybody. If nobody else has something specific to share, we'd like to move on and bring us to the next level. And if you have something you want to share, you can always write it in the chat. We try to see that at all times, and we help each other. Or just raise your hand or just unmute yourself and talk, because this is informal. We're family, so it's all good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I will look at the PowerPoint that we have prepared for you.
Or should we do one tapping round first?
We could do one tapping round as I prepare it, yes.
Yeah, so let's do one repetition of the tapping sequence together, so that we, land in this while Ulf is looking for the PowerPoint.
I'm done already anytime we want.
Yeah, so that's good. So should we do it together with Winky? I don't think we did Winky last time. So let's do it with Winky. Let me see if you will see this film that some of you have seen, but some have not seen it. So we will go with this one and share it. And then, so together with this guy who we call Winky, we will do a repetition, because often we say that you can just show this video and then you do the tapping, okay? And hopefully the sound will be kind of okay. Here's first just a disclaimer. sound okay? Now starts the tapping. So we just do it together with this fellow, or is this kind of, we just start and we do it together. And he does it 12 times on each point, this guy. There are some of the movements since we did that it's a bit different. That we do what is called the crown comb, that massage of the forehead that we added after we had done this part two. And you'll also see now that usually we say put your arm on your shoulder and do the tapping on the side with this guy.
We don't really hear you a lot, Gunilla.
Sorry?
We don't hear you a lot. Start it again on the other side. For some of you, the sound may be coming and going a little bit. Never mind, the tapping is fine. It's still flowing. You can imagine the sound in your head. So that's the movie we call Winky. It's a project that was created for us by Your Majesty Creative Agency in New York and Los Angeles at the time. And it has two movies, one that was specially designed for refugees with a refugee intro, and another one that was designed in general, which was this one. So do you have any comments on the tapping to this or the feeling of the movie? Anything you'd like to share about it?
So, and also a question, because this is the video that is on the app. So if you could just raise your hand and say, how many of you have used or downloaded the app, our app that is called Self-Help for Trauma? There's some of you. And because this is one of the, you know, so if you don't know it yet, I mean, because it is really very helpful, Self-Help for Trauma, the app, which is consists of this video and another GIF with all the images of the technique. And what I was trying to say while the video was playing was that some of the movements that we usually do now when showing the tapping, like this crown pull, as it's called, this massage of the forehead, is not in this video, but that's what we really encourage, you know, because it's very calming, even just doing this. You can do this. You put your thumbs on your temples and then just give yourself some, you know, kind of a good massage to your forehead. If you just try it, all of you now, so you try it, you know, doing it for yourself or somebody. Yeah, so the phone app, yeah, it's called Self-Help for Trauma. Yeah, and Ulf says that the picture was okay, but the sound was not very good. But then we just encourage you to, you know, to look it up. You download that app, or you go to selfhelpfortrauma.org, which is also a website where this video is, where you can look at it with good sound, you know. And then that one, and then this guy, he does like this when he's tapping on the side of the body. And we say that it's in a way better, especially when you're working with somebody else after COVID or something, or when you're to put the hand on the shoulder and then tap on the side here, because then you easily reach that instead of stretching it up like that. This is a good way also when you're telling somebody else, because it is also kind of protective for you. You don't have to expose yourself like stretching up like that. So that is a way that we have changed things. So, yeah. And it is in 27 languages. So like Veronica, who works with trafficking, I suppose that some of them have been trafficked from other, I mean, with other languages from other parts of the world. And then it can be very good. You can just show it, because it actually doesn't need a lot of more explanation than looking at the video and say, you know, doing it like that. Like Ian was saying that a GP, a general practitioner, a medical doctor who had been with us in Lesbos in the refugee camp in Greece. There we also used it, because then there are people who doesn't speak English, and then you can, you know, through an interpreter just present this, and then the person can look at it in his or her own language, which is very super helpful. It's like self-instructive. Okay, good. So now, please, you have the PowerPoint.
Yeah, so let's move through and a little bit to the side, and here we go.
Yeah, just see Annie was asking that you participated in EFT tapping webinar last month.
Annie.
Oh, you answered.
So, first aid for stress and trauma, language-free help for laymen and professionals. Learn it in 10 minutes, do it in 5. We want to sound like a great commercial. I don't know if we succeeded, but we will walk through it anyhow. So, essentials of mental health. Mental health is something that is quite different from physical health, because physical health is something that you will have regardless of where you are. If you, for example, break your leg and you are moved to another room, your leg is still broken. But your mental health depends on your surroundings, your environment, your company, the situation you're in, the stress you are under. So it actually can change just by moving you from one place to another. And there are some factors that affect this a lot. It is if your body is rested, if you have slept properly, is actually a major factor. If you exercise and move around so that you clear out toxins from the body. If you're hydrated and full of nutrition, that will affect the possibility for your brain to have the proper neurotransmitters and calmness to take care of you. Also, social context matters a lot. Every person around you is like a mirror held up to you. Some will show you your best sides, and some may trigger your maybe not so best side. So some people will stress you more than others. So acceptance of the situation you're in, when you refuse to accept the situation, usually you will have a harder time finding solutions for it. But if you find meaning in a situation, and you have to look for meaning, when you find that, you will see that the situation can be easier to cope with. Empowerment is an important part. And empowerment means that you have a feeling that you can affect the situation in some way. You could say that the part of mental health that is compared to burnout or hitting the wall is usually people who are doing their best, but feeling that it's not up to them to be able to get things to work. So for example, in workplaces with weak bosses that don't allow you the time necessary to do your tasks, that's often something that is disempowering and can make you feel bad and run into stress. We also say that you should be prepared, of course. And when you are prepared, it means that you can know how to practice resilience, how to do things about your situation, how to have a mindset where you know how to focus on the now and move forward. And the main part that we present in all of this is to have a strategy for self-regulation, which is what we teach, different strategies of physical self-regulation.
Yeah, and also not only self-regulation, but of course to build resilience. That is also to be prepared. It is to keep your stress level low.
Yep.
Yeah. So with this technique, as you have noticed, we work a lot without words. You know, we don't use setup phrases or affirmations like in EFT. For example, for those of you who have been trained in EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, there are some setup phrases like the ones that Osoki was mentioning before, which is also because, I mean, one of the reasons being that for a person who is traumatized, it can be re-traumatizing actually to use the words about what has happened. That's why we also say it's not necessary to say what anybody has been through, because it's enough just think about it a little bit, just to connect to it a little bit. Mm.
And it's nothing wrong to use phrases. And a lot of the time using phrases can be very useful. But our approach is to work with groups of people where sharing maybe isn't appropriate. And also groups of people that share a situation where putting words to it isn't necessary. So we're not saying there's anything wrong with it. We're just saying that our main approach is that we don't really find it necessary. And we also don't find it necessary to ask people about their experiences. Again,
no, it's not.
Yeah, if I can I just finish the sentence. Again, if some people feel a need to share their experiences, then that's fine. Some people want to share experiences, but we don't ask unnecessarily.
And it's not a question of not being interested. It's just that it is not necessary. And many people prefer to stay with what they have been through. And this comes from, I mean, a lot of this actually is even from our original mentor, Dr. Carl Johnson, a professor of psychology from the US, who came to Rwanda and became our mentor for 13 years ago, soon 14 years ago. And for him, he is a specialist in trauma. And for him, the most important is that people should not have to suffer again, and to repeat things that you tell the stories can be to go back into suffering. And that is what is called re-traumatizing. So to avoid this completely, it is very important. So that's why it's not necessary to go back into experience, because it is like for some, they think that it is necessary to go deep, deep down to be able to relieve. And it's not true. We hear so many of stories of people who even increase their trauma after being in too much of talking about their experiences. When people say, they say that, yeah, I experienced this and that, or said the other day somebody said that a small boy, he said that, yeah, they did ABC. And then the therapist asked, so what do you mean ABC? And he didn't want to tell what it was, but being forced almost to express it and saying, you have to. which is completely not our approach. We go the other way around. Allow people to stay with what they have.
Yeah. And so, again, it is, for this to work, necessary to connect to the emotion. But again, when you are working with people who are traumatized, they are connected. So making stress and trauma your friends. Now that might sound strange, but actually stress is there to help you. Stress is what tells you that you should do something. It stresses that you need to sleep. It stresses you that you need to relax or to have fun or to be social or to run away from something or towards something. And trauma is when you have experienced something so stressful that your safety system, your fight and flight system wants you to avoid it in the future. So it makes sure that anything that reminds you of this will make you run. So in effect, trauma is actually, it's not a disorder, it's a very well functioning tool for survival.
Could I just ask what Veronica, if she was something concerning this that you wanted to say,
Yes.
please?
Yeah, I had a quick question. So I work, with sexual assault survivors and human trafficking survivors, and it's unusual for them to have underlying mental health issues that kind of maybe even are like a borderline or have features around borderline stuff. And oftentimes I've worked with all the advocates that I work with and, kind of encourage, like, you don't always have to talk about everything that's happened, but sometimes the clients almost, how do I say this? Like, they want to talk about it over and over and over again. And how would you suggest kind of talking about how, because it's almost like they're ruminating or being histrionic about it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
So if I could say, my take on that, or our take on that, would be that it's fine if they want to speak about it, but could they please, at the same time, do this with their hands? Or could we do a tapping while we speak about it? Because what the speaking does, it keeps it alive, it triggers it and re-triggers it and re-triggers it. And to wait for a point where they are prepared to calm down could be hard. But if you actually do the tapping or the safe havening as they speak about it, they will eventually shift into not having to speak about it because the sensation will change. Does that make sense?
Yes, that actually makes perfect sense. I really appreciate that because it's hard to kind of move someone out of that space where they kind of want to spiral into it over and over again.
Yeah. And that is the beauty of these techniques. It is that it can break into this, that it can change the state of mind, in a way that continuous talking has difficulties in getting there. So by doing this, I mean, it's like doing something that is surprising, also putting on some music or giving a person a cup of tea, something that breaks it. But with this, actually, it communicates through the nervous system to lower down that stress that makes them go into that rumination and keeping it going, so that it calms down and can come into something else, seeing it clearly, because this is just like a what you say, like a CD that has gone, going round, it doesn't move forward. Good. Thank you so much for the
Thank you so much.
reflection.
Thank you.
So understanding stress is one part, and understanding encoding of trauma. Now, if you work with havening techniques, it's usually taught with something called EMLI, which is an acronym, like a name of a person. But EMLI are the 4 conditions under which a trauma is encoded. One is the event in itself, that something happened at one point in time. And it had a meaning of some sort. That's the M and EMLI. The landscape of the brain or the nervous system of the person was at a point, and the landscape is what we talk about. You have like a bucket that you can fill to a certain point, and when it overflows, you go into fight and flight. So if you are very relaxed, your landscape is very low and you have a big resilience to what happens. But if you are already very, very stressed, it will take less for that bucket to overflow. So that's the landscape, how full your bucket is. And then the I of EMLI is that something is inescapable. Now, it doesn't have to be inescapable, but if you believe it to be inescapable, you are more likely to be traumatized. because then your nervous system is telling you, we are in this situation, it's meaningful, I'm already stressed out, and there seems to be no way out of it. I have to remember this so I can avoid it.
Yeah, that's good. So there was this question from Kimberly. If you are working without talking about the trauma, how do you measure progress? Yeah, that's perhaps we should return to that after this. We'll remember that.
We could just mention that we do take an SUD before and after any treatment. So SUD is subjective units of distress, which is a subjective level of 0 to 10. So 0 is nothing and 10 is too much.
Yeah, and often we also ask, if the person notice what he or she notice after the tapping, to see what is it, that they notice of any kind of difference, and then often it comes on comment. But the SUD is always good, both for the person and for yourself, just to measure, or you just do it like this with, if somebody has difficulty with numbers, was this and now it's like this, or smileys, or there are many ways of measuring the SUD, because it is subjective. Nobody can take a blood sample and see how stressed you feel or how bad you feel about certain things. And these kind of situations are very individual. I mean, what stresses or traumatizes one person will not affect at all another person, depending on like the things from the slide before, how prepared you are. I mean, things that traumatize, who does not traumatize a person, for example, going through a military training, you're trained to go into dangerous situation. But for another person, like for me, going into a similar situation would freak out completely. And that is to be prepared for different situations.
Yes, SUD is a formal evaluation. It's the most commonly used evaluation form for emotional issues. So
yeah, it is.
Also in clinical studies.
Yeah, always. So it's a very formal evaluation, very formal.
So what we're saying is not that they shouldn't think about it, just that they don't need to talk about it. So our shortest instruction is think ever so lightly about what bothers you and give it a number from 0 to 10. Do the tapping procedure, think about it in the same way, and now compare. What is the difference? So if that's okay, we move further here. Understanding the expression of trauma. And here's another acronym. So CASE, that is how trauma is expressed in a person. It is expressed cognitively, which is the C, through the thoughts that you have. It's expressed in your autonomous nervous system by automatic reactions such as heartbeat, palpitation, sweating of hands, stomach ache. It's somatosensory. It means that some of these symptoms can start to be expressed physically, also as a back pain or pain in the shoulders or a hernia, or even sometimes pains that are chronic in the body. And E is emotional. So cognitive, autonomous, somatosensory or somatization, and emotional. So trauma can be transferred. The transfers of trauma is interesting to know about, because hearing about a traumatic incident can actually be traumatizing. Talking to a person who is telling you about their trauma can be traumatizing. So trauma can actually be transferred from a person to another secondhand without even having been there.
Yeah, and it also transferred from one generation to the next, which is called epigenetics. I mean, the expression of the proteins that is coating the gene can be changed and become more sensitive if a child is actually carried by a parent who is highly stressed. It can affect that, not that it changes the gene, but the sensitivity to stress can be changed. So that's why
if you have a family member that's traumatized, you treat the whole family. If you are working with somebody who is a volunteer in an organization and this volunteer seems to be showing signs of secondary trauma, then probably all the other volunteers might need to learn how to create resilience as well.
Yeah, it's contagious. Just like now we are washing our hands more and more. I mean, it's the same with stress. It's contagious. It goes from one person to the other. More than anybody can, in a way, imagine.
Yeah. So understanding depotentiation, which is a scientific model of what's happening, and the model comes from Havening, but it's the same for tapping. It's from the book of Dr. Ronald Rudin, which is called When the Past is Always Present. So the idea is that it's actually physically, when you are traumatized, when there is an EMLI, an event with meaning, and your landscape is not resilient enough and it's inescapable, then in your amygdala, certain receptors, synapses are created that will trigger the next time something reminds you of this moment. So these are called AMPA receptors. And when you are treating somebody, they are first activated a little bit, and then you provide a treatment, like the tapping, for example, and they will be depotentiated. They will actually release and resolve and not be there anymore, which means that in a single session, symptoms that have been there during many, many years can actually be resolved completely and they don't come back.
Mm. And amygdala is like the alarm central of the brain, small almond-shaped parts of the brain, two of them, which is very crucial in high stress. Mm. Yeah, and then we have our toolbox or our toolkit, that some like to prefer it, the TTT toolbox. Mm. And sometimes we call it not trauma tapping technique, but tension tapping technique, because in some places when you say that you can help somebody who's traumatized, people don't, there are certain authorities who don't like it, so we call it tension tapping technique because it's actually a relaxation technique, so it can be used because for tension it doesn't have to be trauma, even though we have specialized in trauma because we have seen from the beginning, and again our mentor Carl Johnson said, specialize in helping those who are traumatized because they don't get any help. You know, there's so many who are suffering from trauma because there is the belief that it's not possible to heal except for decreasing symptoms with medication or talking, but actually can, as we said, depotentiate.
So trauma tapping technique is the same as tension tapping technique, and they both have the abbreviation TTT, of course. So when studies are done, you can search for TTT and find both. In this TTT toolbox, besides that, we have the self-havening, which is what we did with our hands. And self-havening can also be done on the shoulders.
Like we did last time for you who were with us last time.
Yeah, so we can just try that really shortly so that we all have it. So just put your hands on your shoulders and pull down. And it's not really that slow, and it's not really a massage, and it's not really a caress. It's just a rubbing, actually, of activating the skin sensors. And when you do this, if you do it for 3 minutes more or less, you're actually activating the calm part of the system. So it's a very useful and simple technique. And that's one of them. Self-havening.
Yeah, and then there was the question talking about body and amygdala. Is the start always brain to body? No, brain to body, body to brain. I mean, there's a constant flow of communication between, I mean, the heart and the brain and the guts, and especially through what is called the biggest cranial nerve called the vagus nerve, which connects the brain through the brainstem to the part of the nervous system that connects the voice. That's why when you get nervous and the voice will change, it goes down to the heart, the lungs, to the guts, to the liver and to the kidneys, and this big nerve connects, and it's very crucial when it comes to calming down the nervous system. But it also gives signals direct from the stomach up to the brain, or from the guts up. So it's a constant communication. That's why we have to keep things moving. So we do good things with your body, you do good things with your brain, things will be fine. You know, when we start thinking, ruminating, it affects also the body. When we not treating the body, we're just sitting still, it will affect the mind and the brain. So it is like that. So it is, you know, that communication. No, there is no difference. It's between tension and trauma tapping technique. It's just a question of wording, that sometimes it's better to say, oh, this is a tension tapping technique than trauma tapping technique. but we started working a lot with people who are traumatized. So then it is, you know, to say that it's for tension. Oh, but we are traumatized, you know, then it is. So it started out as trauma tapping technique, and then seeing that for some, mentioning the word trauma is too big, because people think trauma is just for those who live through war, torture, or so. But it's not. I mean, but if then they prefer to call it tension, then it's tension. Yeah, and then we have the head holding technique. Let's do that. And also, will you do it, Ulf?
Yes, sure. My screen is a little bit jumpy here, but I'm fixing it. So, but now we're back, and I will show you some head holding. So the head holding techniques, it's also, these are things that people do in different cultures. So in a lot of natural healers are doing head holdings of different kinds, but it has also a very good scientific foundation if you want, but never mind, just try it. Put your hand on your forehead like this, and you put your thumb in the base of your skull and your hand on the back of your head, and you just hold it like this. And you just hold it. You don't have to hold hard, just hold it.
And this is also a simplified version of, there is a technique called tapas acupressure technique that some of you might have met in some trainings. It's called TAT, tapas acupressure technique. And it is in the basis of it, but it has a whole protocol of sentences and work. It's also trauma tapping, it's a trauma healing technique. And this is a very simple version of it. And when you do it for somebody else, when that is possible, it's also very healing. Also for migraines, it's super good. Headaches, you know, and the worried mind. We did it a lot in the refugee camp in Greece. For so many, you know, when the thoughts and the brain is rushing, it feels like very soothing when you hold for somebody else more, but when you hold it for yourself, it's also fine. You can do it in your bed when laying on the pillow, you know, and your arms just can rest on the pillow or towards the wall. So just holding like that, it gives energy through your brain. You know, it's like, you know,
It's also very nice to do for somebody else. So when you do it for TTT can work for migraines too, but actually TAT is usually the go-to that I would use, because the actual tapping when you have a headache can be intrusive. You simply have to try and test. But since migraines also are a stress reaction, it works.
Yeah, so it is like a Reiki position. Yeah, so it is like that. So, I mean, it all connects, you know, so yeah, I mean, many of us also have done, I mean, I'm also trained in Reiki, you know, and then you do things with your hands because the hands are powerful. The fingertips are powerful, the hands are powerful, and it all has all these nerve ends and this. So it, and the energy of it. Good.
We go back, and the next one is alpha theta breathing. Now, alpha and theta, they are brain waves. So we had a number of brain waves, and they are all active at some level at all times. Now, some of them are more prevalent or more present depending on the activity going on in your brain. So you would say that when you are normal active, driving a car, talking to people, you have more beta brain waves. Step under that is alpha, when you're sitting down, relaxing, starting talking to people, getting into almost watching a movie or almost daydreaming. And then theta brainwaves, it's when you start daydreaming or sliding into a trance-like state, maybe starting to go to sleep. And once you go to sleep, the delta wave will be there. But actually, it's not always related to sleep, because the delta wave will be enhanced by doing tapping, by doing healing, by doing head holding, because they are actually cooperating for different functions. But it's called this because it actually slows down the system and makes the theta wave slightly more enhanced. And it is the one that we use in the tapping cycle, which is you breathe in, you hold your breath, and you breathe out. And as long as you breathe out and hold your breath longer than you breathe in, you're activating the parasympathetic nervous system. So breathe in again, hold your breath. And this time, if you want to prolong it, you can breathe out on the letter S.
Yes, there are so many different breathing techniques. So perhaps you can just stop sharing. We could just share some other breathing techniques. So this is the one that we do like in the tapping circle in between. And the reason it's there, it is because the breathing is the direct communication with your nervous system. I mean, it does affect, just like Ulf said, if the out breath, like in most yoga exercises, there will be a longer out breath because that activates the parasympathetic nervous system more. The in breath activates the active part of the nervous system, which is the sympathetic nervous system. And then the out breath activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is related to relaxation. And then there is another breathing technique that it's called 4-7-8, that is even more enhancing the out breath and the pause between in breath and out breath. So you can do that. So then in that one, you breathe in on the count of 4, and then you hold the breath on 7, and then you breathe out on 8. So we can do that, you know, so you breathe in, 3, 4, and then you hold your breath 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you breathe out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then you breathe in 2, 3, 4, and then you hold your breath 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you breathe out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then one more time you breathe in 3, 4, and then you hold your breath 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you breathe out 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that is like a relaxation breathing technique. It is a medical doctor called Dr. Andrew Weil who has created this. So you can find him on YouTube. And we have also done, we can send you those links for that. So, yeah, so you're thinking of doing some breakout exercise with some tapping. So you just can meet some of the others. How much you do? 3 in each room, or what do you think? Or 2 or 3?
Yeah, I think we divide ourselves into 3. And what you will do is just do a session, a quick one. And when you do a session, what you do is you ask a person, well, if you are 3, one person shows it and the other 2 will join. So you can say, connect to something that you would like to do something about. And then you have, give it a SUD, so from 0 to 10, how much can you feel it? And then you just simply show the procedure and have them follow you all the way through with the breathing twice. And then you ask again, if you connect to this again now, what is your SUD? The idea is that you practice, that you feel what it's like, that you get to do a session online. It's not about doing it correctly or getting all the points right or not. When it comes to Anubluto, you're asking, does breathing out from the mouth make a difference? Well, breathing in through the nose is usually better quality air, but it's more important that you breathe in than whether you do it in your nose or mouth. And breathing out through the mouth, it's easier to regulate the airflow to be able to make the breath last longer than through the nose. So even doing it on the letter S makes it easy to breathe out for a long time, which is what you want when you're doing 4, 7, 8. But just try it out. Those are fine tunings. The important part is to keep the relation 4, 7, 8. Okay, are you ready to give this a shot, my dear brave trauma tapping certification person? Yeah, so you will be divided into rooms. Now, some of you are non-video participants. It's 13 of you. So I'm not sure how we get to do this because that's quite a lot. 12. So yeah, everybody turns on their video as much as you can. And if you happen to be in a room where there is only non-video participants, you will simply instruct each other without the video, because that's how life is. And you will succeed with it and it will be fine. So 30 participants.
It takes like 10 minutes, sir.
Yeah, 10 minutes. So keep it short, just go through it and so that you get a feeling for it. It's better that you just do it all the way through and feel what it's like And I guess if we interrupt after 10 minutes, Gunilla, we can come out and we can compare notes and then go back and do one more. Does that sound like a plan?
Sounds good.
Okay. Ten minutes.
There you are. Okay. So it seems that we are two, Ulf and me and Osoki. Do you hear us, Osoki? Can you unmute yourself so we can talk?
Oh. Yes, I can now get you.
Good, good. I can get you. I can hear you. Very good.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is good. So if you like, you can a session with me or with of tapping.
Choose for me. Let me. I can't choose. Who is ready to do it with me?
You do it with Ulf. I think he needs one.
Okay.
Are you with us, Ulf? You look very still, so I don't know what happened. Yeah.
Maybe my connection is bad. I'm not sure. I think it's better you guys do it, because if I'm the host, I need to be out there if somebody is unassigned or needs to be put back in a room. So I have to be there to help them with that.
Yeah, sure.
So if you guys go, I'll go up, because there's one person raising their hand right now in the.
Perfect. Wonderful.
Now everybody's coming back to the main session after their breakout sessions. They'll be joining Julie, Kimberly. Yeah. From the looks of it, people have been doing okay. Julie, I hope you're doing good. Yeah. So people will be rejoining. Wonderful. Uh-huh. So as you are rejoining now, we will ask you for your experience from this. And we don't really have the time to do everybody. So we will ask some of you if you can just write in the chat any thoughts you have about your experience. And some of you can just unmute yourself completely undemocratically and just speak and share your experience. So please, Maria, you have a nice smile. You want to unmute yourself and tell us about your session and experience?
Yes, can I say something?
Sure, go.
Yes, it was an amazing experience, really. Whenever I try to use this tool, I found it very helpful and amazing experience, really. And by the way, I just finished your book Resolving yesterday, and it's also amazing book. And I really inspired with it and with your experience. So happy to be there, to be here with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Who else wants to share your experience of this tapping in the breakout rooms? Hi, Lorna.
It was somebody else who started talking before at the same time as.
Yes, it was Maria.
Yeah, so please, Maria, go ahead. And unmute yourself and we will listen.
I thought that was great.
Yeah, okay.
I think Catherine and I'm sorry, I don't remember her name, but it was really good because it's good when you try to do it with somebody else. So
Yeah.
I think it was really good. And you, Catherine, was like pro, I think. So very good at doing this.
Good. Yeah, somebody wrote Placid, a wonderful, clear, upbeat guide. Yeah, that's nice. That was from Jennifer. Kim did it wonderfully, lovely, says Julie to everybody.
Adara has raised her hand. I had a wonderful session with Katie from Ecuador. She led me through a wonderful from 6 to 0. And Adara, you want to say something? Please unmute yourself.
Yes. Okay. Let me unmute.
You are muted.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No. And I was with Muhammad. We had a third person. She was lovely. I couldn't get her name. She didn't have the video, so we had Muhammad who made comments. We had him with video, and then the other woman. But it was a really good session. We got the SUDs. We went through it, and when we got left, Muhammad and I were both at 4. She's a 6. So we said we were going to actually tap again because we know if you're not below a 3, we do it together. So she was going to do it alone. I said, no, we don't do it alone. We're one person here. We do it together. And then it came up, we only had X amount of seconds left. So we said, well, we tap again like one person's here. It was really good. I enjoyed working with Muhammad and the other woman.
Wonderful. Great. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah. Yeah. So if there's one more person, so we still have 5 minutes. So if one more person like to share, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'll say something.
Yeah, Dowdson. Yes.
Yeah, I also had a nice experience. I tried to take my 2 group members through, and we were at also rating 656 and went back to 220. So that was nice, and it was also nice to experience how to pace and how to because I feel like I have maybe a quicker pace than the video. So to kind of manage that process was also good to practice.
Good. And you were with
so
Sebastian,
nice.
I understand, because he's nodding his head. So Sebastian and Catherine, or you with Sebastian?
Tolu.
No, Tolu.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Very nice. Thank you so much, Dowdson. Who is in Rwanda?
We have a question for you here. We think this is a wonderful way of learning, and from our experience, joining 2 webinars of 90 minutes and trying this out is enough for most people to be able to go through the certification process, get certified, and start helping people, because it isn't actually more complicated than this. But we are planning an extra date. I think it was the 17th, Gunilla?
27.
27, the 27th of July, and we are looking to do a workshop or a webinar for those of you who want an extra practice day to share more experiences and to get more questions answered. We're just curious, if there was an extra webinar in this, what would you like it to contain? What would you like to learn more about, so that we get some ideas from you? You can write in the chat if you want.
Or say something.
Yeah, Mohammed, if you want to talk, please do.
Yes, I have an issue. While I'm working with any traumatized person and he starts or she starts to talk about their experience, I start to feel myself very emotional, and my tears, I cannot stop my tears, and it affects even my day, and affects my mental, So how can I keep myself away from my patient, or how can I keep myself away from being very emotional with my traumatized person, So I need to get to know how to help myself to stop be very emotional with them like that. Thank you.
Yeah, and what I would say to that is that, I mean, of course, when we meet people who have been through very challenging things, it is challenging. But the way to prepare it is to, you know, before the session, really use these techniques to see to that we lower the level in our own bucket of stress or emotions. And then using these techniques, when you start thinking about something that does, because probably it's something that triggers you, that the person is talking about, that might be something that you are related to in one way or another through another person or so. So by what you say, clearing yourself as much as possible, that's the only way I could say that is a way to prepare, to know that, yeah, by doing that, it will be more easy to be with that person and be kind of safe and calm and not going into the emotions of that other person. Do you want to add something?
You know what? Yes, you know what? When I started to imagine myself on his shoes or her shoes,
yeah,
and start to think, I started to see myself instead of her or him. That's why I started to feel very emotional, and you know, all of my body started to shake, you know. So I tried so many techniques to calm myself down, but I couldn't stop myself from feeling what they are feeling. I imagine everything. I have ability to visualize everything they already see, and they already happened to him.
Yeah, I mean, that is, of course, a sensitivity. So, I mean, what it is, it's to prepare yourself. I mean, there are different ways of I could say that protecting yourself. You can imagine that that you have a shield, not something that disconnects you, because you are already so much connected. So before you meet somebody, you go into, I mean, a slight meditation of making that safety for yourself inside, you know, to say that that you don't need to go into that space. That's but I don't know. I mean, Ulf, would you like to add something? What that's the way that I have done, at least. I mean, it is using these techniques to think of things that triggers you, that actually does remind you of things, and then also to protect yourself before the session.
Actually, when we worked with John Grinder, who's one of the founding fathers of the NLP, neurolinguistic programming techniques, he gave us a kind of a safety script where you can imagine yourself you're asking your subconscious to help you, to protect you before you go in with people, by creating a safety zone, a bubble, so that you're helping people from inside this bubble, and you're using your subconscious to help you with this. We could actually run through that script on the 27th if people are curious about it. It's a short exercise, but basically, if you find somebody who's standing in a hole in the ground, if you jump down to help them, it's really hard to help them out, because then you're both in the same hole. And that's what happens when you emphasize too much empathy with them, when you start going into what they are feeling and why they are feeling it. Because what they really need for you is to stay on the top of the ground, reach down and help them up from that hole. And that's easier done if you maintain a certain distance to what they're going through. You know, trying not to go into imagining what it's like for them. Instead, you know, being there for them, saying, all right, I can see that you are in pain. I cannot imagine what it's like, and I will help you to find your way out. And once you're up here next to me, we can talk about the experience and see what we feel about it. Does that work as a metaphor for you?
Yes, I like the bubble idea. I will, because I already studied NLP, so I like the bubble idea. I can do it to myself before the session itself. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's a very good idea. Thank you very much. I think it will work with me. Thank you very much.
Good. Yeah, and then there was the question from Jennifer about education, that you're working in a school with high trauma and poverty. And there are many, we can send you links. We have our colleague who works specifically with, I mean, both research and have done tapping in the schools, Peter Stapleton in Australia. So there are many who have worked specifically in schools regarding education and processing of information. Or do you have, did I understand that question right? And do you have any resource that could point me to yeah, exactly. I think
we also Jennifer, we have a movie about the bucket of stress, which explains it in image. That is there in the material you will get after with the link, and that can work very well with kids. We're looking to make it also as a cartoon, and maybe one day we will succeed, and that would be helpful also with kids.
Yeah, I think we should round out. I think this is her. I think this is petastapleton.org. I mean, or you just go, or Jennifer, or if you just remind us with an email, we can send you those links to everybody. If you just write us, Jennifer, an email asking about it, and then we can send it out to everybody. Okay, good.
There's also Kristen Miller's video of doing TTT.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Thank you, Lorna. That's of course. I'll remember that.
Yeah, we will email you information about the next meetings in the follow-up email after this, so you will get a chance to do that. Also, we actually do recommend when you are working with children, one easy way, I don't know if we talked about this the last time, is that actually just having a balloon and sharing it around the room will make people actually go out of a frozen state and start interacting with each other. So we often recommend that as one of the ways interacting. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think if you did go into Eventbrite, we have your email. If you didn't sign up there, please write your email address now in the chat. But otherwise, we should have all of those of you who have been through that. Yeah.
Yeah, you will get the recording, and there will be more recordings. And please do sign up for that practice group, the TTT practice group. And we can have more time for questions and anything. And also check out the website where you have lots of information that you can download. Go into Facebook, please join our Facebook page there. And if you want to help us to reach more people, do a shout out in social media. Just say in social media, I attended the training of the Peaceful Heart. And then you can simply, just give a link to the app or a link to the website, and that's much appreciated. The website you can link to is the Peaceful Heart or selfhelpfortrauma.org, which also is where you have the movie and information about how to spread this. Because our mission and vision is to spread it to as many as possible, and you are the road to this.
Yeah, and also to Mohammed, I mean, we were actually saying that we would go through that about music and TTT that we have. We can send you the links to the videos we have. Also, when you see the chapter in our book, Resolving Yesterday, there is one specifically about dancing and music. You can check that. And whatever other questions you have, please send us an email, and we will, we will do our best to answer and give those. And then we can send that to everybody for you. Great. Thank you so much for joining this webinar, and keep spreading it and these tools to people you meet. And as we say, we are here. And if you have some questions and remarks or whatever, please just let us know, Good.
And if you're working with addiction recovery, please feel free to take a look at the program that we have for this. We will send it out again to you again afterwards.
Yeah, good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Take care, everybody.
Take care.
Happy waves in 5, 6, 7, 8 countries all over the world.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Hi, Danielle.
Bye.
Hey, Reverend Dara. Hey, Tolu.
Hey, Danielle.
Hey, Dora. Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Everybody.